Hello dear followers of Red Stroy. My name is Bethany. I was born and raised in London and spent most of my life there. The city strikes a perfect balance between chaos and elegance. In many ways, I guess I'm like my city, layered, intense, and full of contradictions. I'm 35 now, and I work as a fashion editor for a magazine. Fashion has been my passion for as long as I can remember. I was the kind of girl who could spend hours just walking through the streets, staring at store windows, losing herself in new collections. Now, through my work, I get to live that dream, curating trends and blending them with London's unique style. But beyond fashion, I have other passions too: art, literature, and travel. And today, I want to share with you an incredible experience I had a few months ago in Paris. It was a cold, rainy evening. I was in Paris for work, but I decided to take a small break just for myself. I found a little cafe near my hotel, dimly lit, decorated with antique paintings on the walls. I sat down and ordered a glass of red wine. All I wanted was a few quiet hours to escape the chaos of work and be alone with my thoughts. Sitting by the window, watching the rain fall on the cobblestone streets, I felt a strange, growing excitement deep inside me. Maybe it was Paris itself. Maybe it was the sense of romance this city seems to hide on every corner. And then I noticed it. Someone's gaze focused directly on me. I looked up, and our eyes met. Across the cafe, a man was watching me. He looked to be in his 40s, with wavy brown hair, a sculpted beard, and warm, golden-toned skin. He was undeniably attractive. And he had that effortless French confidence that makes a woman feel like she's the only one in the room. He gave me a half-smile and walked over. "My name is Armand," he said. His French accent made every word sound like it was wrapped in silk. "This city is far too magical to discover alone," he added, smiling as I held my wine glass, trying to keep my hands from trembling. He sat down. He started talking about Paris, about art, about how the city breathes beauty and passion. At first, I thought this was just a polite conversation, a bit of company to brighten a quiet evening. But then he motioned across the cafe to another man. "That's my friend, Laurent," he said. "He'd love to join us." Laurent walked over with a casual confidence that instantly made the air feel heavier. He was younger than Armand, probably mid-30s, with short blonde hair and striking blue eyes. He had a lean frame and a calm, enigmatic energy. While Armand's charm was warm and expressive, Laurent was the opposite, silent, focused, almost feline in how he observed everything. When he joined our table, I felt it immediately, a tension in the air, sharp and thrilling. I was suddenly surrounded by two men, each radiating a different kind of allure. As the conversation flowed, so did the wine. Armand animated the moment with vivid stories about the city's history, while Laurent added small remarks, choosing his words carefully but powerfully. And me? I was caught between them. Laurent would occasionally glance at me, not quickly, not shyly, but with full awareness. Like he wasn't afraid of being caught. His gaze wasn't invasive. It was magnetic. I noticed the way Armand would occasionally look over at him, subtle, acknowledging, as if they were in silent agreement about what was happening. There was a rhythm to how they moved, how they spoke to me. Like I wasn't just talking to two men, I was stepping into something they'd quietly orchestrated. The night deepened. The cafe grew quieter. Eventually, Armand leaned closer and asked, "Would you like a walk before heading back?" I nodded. We stepped out into the Parisian night. The rain had softened into a mist, and the streets shimmered beneath golden street lamps. We walked along the Seine. Armand quoted lines from French poets, his voice low, just for me. Laurent stayed close, just to my side, never speaking, only listening, but his silence said everything. There was a moment, as we passed Pont Neuf, where all three of us paused. The river flowed beneath us. The city buzzed faintly in the background. And I knew this night wasn't done. Not yet. By the time we returned to the hotel, Paris had slipped into full silence. The hallways were empty, the rain had stopped, and the city outside was now just a faint echo. Inside the lobby, everything felt warmer, heavier, like something inevitable was approaching. I unlocked the door to my room. Neither of them asked to come in. They just followed, slowly, intentionally, without a word. The lights were low. The room smelled like old wood, fresh linen, and something floral from my perfume. Armand stepped in first. He looked at me, not with a question, but with a quiet certainty. Then, slowly, he walked over and placed his hands on my waist. I didn't resist. I didn't even flinch. I just exhaled. His touch was slow and sure. His fingers rested lightly against the curve of my waist before he pulled me toward him with a soft, controlled firmness. His scent, spicy and deep, washed over me. He kissed me. First lightly, just a brush. Then again, more deliberately. His lips pressed against mine with a rhythm that felt like he'd been waiting all night. As our mouths found a language of their own, his hands slid from my waist to my back, tracing me like memory. Behind us, Laurent was silent. But I could feel him there, his eyes never left us. Then he stepped forward. He didn't interrupt. He didn't speak. He reached out and placed his hand gently on my shoulder. His fingers were cool, but his touch left a warm path on my skin. They didn't argue or compete. They adjusted. Shifted around me. Laurent traced his hand down my arm, light, slow, electric. Then he walked around to face me. His blue eyes locked onto mine, and in that stillness, I felt my knees threaten to buckle. He leaned forward. His lips didn't kiss me, not yet. He exhaled softly against my cheek, just enough to make me shiver. Armand stood behind me. His hands on my hips, then on my lower back. Laurent in front of me, brushing his fingers down my collarbone. I was between them. Armand's hands gently guided me toward the bed. There was no rush, no aggression. Only a quiet kind of hunger, deep and deliberate. As he leaned in, Laurent followed close behind. The way they moved around me wasn't clumsy or chaotic. It was instinctual, like they already knew what I needed before I did. Armand sat beside me, his hands cradling my waist. His lips kissed along my shoulder, then down my neck. Every breath against my skin set off little fires across my nerves. Laurent came to the other side of the bed. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. His touch was different, more curious, less rehearsed, but just as charged. He placed his palm on my cheek, tracing the side of my face with his thumb. Then he leaned in and pressed his lips softly to my jawline, letting them rest there. Armin's hands moved lower, around my hips, my thighs. His fingers were firm, steady. Lawrence followed his own path, grazing over my collarbone, then down my arm, leaving goosebumps in his wake. I was the point where their energies met. Armand, the slow burn. Laurent, the sudden spark. The sheets rustled as they shifted positions, Armand behind me, Laurent in front. Laurent kissed me, fully now, his lips tasting like wine and want. He explored slowly, like every movement was a question, and I was the answer. Behind me, Armin's body pressed against mine, his breath sinking with mine. His hands gripped my waist, grounding me while Lawrence kiss climbed down to my chest. They weren't taking me. They were receiving me. Welcoming me into a moment we all had wanted, but hadn't named. I lost count of time. All I knew was touch, breath, softness, and heat. There were no roles, no labels. Only sensation. Only this. By the time I opened my eyes, the room was washed in early Paris light. Laurent was buttoning his shirt. Armand stood by the window, watching the rain return in a slow, steady drizzle. Neither said much. They didn't need to. I sat up, pulling the sheets around me. My body still buzzed with memory of fingertips and lips, of voices whispering in the dark, of freedom. They both looked at me, calm, satisfied. Not possessive. Not expectant. Just present. I nodded. They smiled. They left like they came, unannounced, unforgettable. That night in Paris didn't change who I was. But it reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten. That desire doesn't always need a reason. That sometimes, a single night can be the most honest thing you've ever felt. Yes, dear friends, every confession tells a different story. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. See you in the next one.